Hello everyone, and this is my review for TNA Impact Wrestling on May the 8th, 2015, and, they started off the show in a way that I actually kind of liked. I like the aspect that they had been announcing a special guest referee throughout the entire week for the world title match with Eric Young and Kurt Angle, and I like the aspect that they started off the show by Eric Young demanding to know who it was, and they just brought him out instead of like, oh, we're gonna keep it a surprise for the whole night. No, they brought out Bully Ray, and he was gonna be the special guest referee for the night, which led into a couple decent backstage promos with Kurt Angle and Bully Ray and Eric Young and Bully Ray as well. So those came off relatively well. The EC3 Mr. Anderson match, as typical, as you expected, it was a very dominant choice for the Falls Count Anywhere match. Pretty good match, not so great of an ending. I wish they would have had EC3 actually, cause the final blow for the match itself instead of having Tyrus kind of help dominate the entire match for EC3 in there. I know no disqualification, anything can go, all that kind of good stuff, but still you want them to build EC3 as somebody who's a full-on credible threat outside of the fact that he has Tyrus. They have done that in the past. I want them to do that a little bit more leading into his potential world title match somewhere down the road. So hopefully that'll be the case. It wasn't the case here, obviously. Hopefully, like I said, it'll be the case down the road leading into a potential world title match when that actually happens. The match with Gail Kim and Awesome Kong versus the Dollhouse was, it was what it was. It wasn't all that great. It's still kind of relatively new, and it'll be interesting to see how they decide to keep it going. I'm glad they decided to have the Dollhouse go over in this case, because they need to continue being built as being the a group threat in every way there. So you had a decent promo, but not really a decent promo. You had a short promo between Gail Kim and Awesome Kong, with Gail trying to make sure Awesome Kong was on her side and everything like that. You also had a little backstage, not backstage, but they had like a little vignette of Tara Terrell showing up at Gail's husband's like chef type show and everything like that as well. So you had some okay build up in there, but all in all, that match was kind of what it was. Wasn't anything special. Hopefully they'll do something down the road to make it a little bit more than what it is at this moment in time, but we'll see where they go with that. The in-ring promo with Mickie James, James Storm, and Magnus I thought was really good. I think they're really building a good dynamic between James Storm and Magnus, and having Mickie James in there as well. Having Magnus come off as this maybe overprotective, but he still feels like he's in the right to be doing what he's doing, attacking James Storm in this case. The sinister smile that James Storm threw off on there came off really well as well. So you're definitely seeing like a decent story build between Mickie James and Magnus, and how they are kind of floating apart at this moment, and then James Storm, Magnus, and Mickie James and Magnus, and that one's actually working out quite well, and I'm liking where it's going at this point in time. Then they did a promo with Matt Hardy coming out, vacating the TNA Tag Team titles because Jeff Hardy broke his leg. Unfortunate for Jeff Hardy, he is how he always is, and that's what fans have always liked about him. He is who he is in the ring, but he's also that as a real person as well, so that he's always been kind of a genuine type character to get behind in every sense of the word. So the fact that he broke his leg during doing dirt biking and everything, very unfortunate. Hopefully he has a very speedy recovery. And then they, of course, vacated the tag team titles, which led to the Bobby Roode and Austin Aries, who are still calling themselves the Dirty Heels. doesn't really work for how their characters are portrayed at this moment, but that was the name of the team back in the day, so they're kind of sticking with it. I don't know how they're going to really depict that as their characters at this point in time. So we'll see where they go with that. And then the Wolves coming out. Well, of course, first Davey Richards coming out, and then introducing Eddie Edwards, which is leading to a best-of-5 tag team series between the two teams for the TNA tag team titles. I like this. You have great workers all around in this one. They should really work well together, and it's always fun to watch a series of matches, especially when they make it feel like a best-of-5 or a best-of-7 series. Those I've always found fun. Like, back, you had them back in the day in WCW. You've had them in the WWE in every sense of the word. I'm glad they're going this route here. Should be a good series of matches, and it should be a fun way of doing everything. And they can actually potentially build the story of the series around the matches themselves. They don't have to necessarily do promos here. You can potentially turn a team heel, or in that sense during that time frame, or you could keep them both as faces and they're just doing really good tag team matches. We'll see how they decide to go with it, but I feel like they went the best route that they wanted to with this, and we'll see how that series of matches turns out. You also had the return of Velvet Sky, kind of depicting a new type character and going after Angelina Love in this case. That does play off well off the aspect of how Angelina Love reacted to Velvet Sky getting fired months back. I'm not sure about the whole stone face type character she's going for in this sense. I mean, we'll see how it goes. It wasn't bad. Obviously, promo-wise, it was all depicted based off of Angelina Love's words and how Velvet Sky was reacting, of course, attacking her later on in the show. So we'll see how that storyline goes and how they're building it. I'm liking how they're building it as an aspect that, you know, Velvet Sky at the moment isn't a member of the TNA roster, even though obviously since she's on the show, she more than likely is. It's at least a semi-interesting start to a sub-storyline that's not revolving around the Knockouts title. This leads me into the Rising and the BDC. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm getting kind of sick and tired of them rehashing the same thing every single week right now with them. Obviously, it was unfortunate here that Homicide went out with a shoulder injury. That's unfortunate because it kind of gets rid of that dynamic that the BDC has this 4-on-3 advantage against the Rising. But the thing I was referring to, that they're rehashing the same thing every week, is like they have a match, the Rising wins the match, BDC beats them down after the match to regain their heat. This time they used Eric Young. It wasn't necessarily different because they've done Eric Young in the BDC before, but you know, there was like an ulterior motive for Eric Young to try to get them to work with him for the World Heavyweight title match. But like I said, they're kind of rehashing the same thing every single week. BDC gets their heat back after they lose a match, and it's kind of becoming bland. I hope they go in a completely different route at some point in time. Maybe they become the dominant force in the aspect of not only are they winning the matches, but they're getting to perform the beatdown afterwards, or maybe the Rising comes out ahead a week or something like that. In the terms of their storyline, they did get a little bit of a receipt by chasing off the BDC during the world title match, and also it seems like they could be potentially adding Matt Hardy in there, which will keep Matt Hardy on the show while Jeff is out at that point. So we'll see where they go with it, but I'm not liking where they're at right now. The World Heavyweight title match with Kurt Angle and Eric Young, classic example of too much interference again. Now granted, it all happened within a very short period of time, and just other aspects to the match that I didn't necessarily like the work rate between Kurt Angle and Eric Young, I thought was really good. The two had a very good dynamic together with the match. But the aspect of having the BDC out there, which was shown earlier in the show, which obviously forces the Rising to come out there, and then randomly Chris Melendez comes out there as well. I know they had issue, like Kenny King and Chris Melendez had issue in the past, but it was kind of a random time for him to come out there. I feel like they could have used it in a different sense for him to come back in some way, shape, or form. Also, they announced it as like almost like a no-holds barred match or an anything goes type style match with Bully Ray being the referee. And yet, when the BDC wants to attack Kurt Angle, Eric Young low blows Bully Ray. Doesn't make any sense. Like at that point in time, the only thing that would have been done was there would have been no disqualification. But maybe the BDC would have been kicked from ringside like that, but he would have gained the advantage already. So it made almost no sense for him to low blow the referee of the match. And then, of course, try to pile drive him later just made no sense as well. So all in all, like that main event was kind of a mixed bag. I like the dynamic between Kurt Angle and Eric Young, but the whole aspect of how Eric Young went after the referee when he should have been going after Kurt Angle, just it was really weird, did not come off all that good. So it was kind of like a mixed bag main event. I thought it was somewhat good, but somewhat bad. But all in all, the show itself, I think it came off rather well. There was a couple areas that I felt weren't all that great, obviously. But overall, the show was at least fairly entertaining. And again, easy watch, much like NXT was this week. And, that's my review this week for TNA Impact Wrestling. And I thank you guys for watching.